Hi there, it's Anthony, and today I'm going to be watching the 5th episode of the 2nd season of Dexter. So this episode is called The Dark Defender. So I'm wondering if that has any relation to the Dark Passenger, like maybe if there's some kind of parallel that's going to be drawn there in terms of maybe the Dark Defender is what protects the Dark Passenger, or maybe it's not related at all. I don't know. But, last episode we really got to get a nice look into all the other characters and what they've got going on this season. And of course, before that, we've been learning a lot more about Dexter, as always. So I'm looking forward to see what direction they take this episode. If it'll be more of a Dexter-only centered episode, or if we're going to get into other people's goings-ons as well. So I can't wait to see how this is going to go. I'm looking forward to it. Let's go ahead and get into it. Dexter, Season 2, Episode 5, The Dark Defender.
You have my word.
Wow, it's really interesting that, they've managed to introduce this whole new side of things to this story. Not side of things, but just a new thing to think about here. Because, it's not like this feels like something that they just reached and grabbed for straws to find another angle to come at. Like, this is actually a pretty, big part. Like, why was his mom murdered in the first place? Who was after her? Like what is going to be the repercussions, or what are going to be the repercussions for that person? So I guess it just seems like a natural place to have gone that they just didn't get around to doing it in the first season, and they're just getting to now, which I think is really cool. Like I said, in the first season, it seemed like it was a very specific story, but even still, there were still plenty of other things from that story that can still be branched off and plausibly and feasibly make sense to explore. It doesn't feel like they're like stretching for content, is basically what I'm trying to say. Like, this still feels really strong. Like, this still feels like it's as good as the first season of a show when they're first getting all of their, best ideas out. And this also gives a little bit more explanation into why Harry, is helping so much in the first place. Or why he wanted to take Dexter in and raise him for his own. Because I think before it just seemed like Harry just showed up and there was this boy and he took him in. Now we know that he already knew Dexter's mom and that they already had some type of, relationship, or not relationship. I'm just saying they knew each other. And, he was helping her in some kind of way. So he had a reason to take Dexter in like this. So, yeah. This is interesting. Let's continue forward.
It's a woman's touch. Yep.
Also, just real quick, I wanted to also throw in, I was thinking about what I said earlier about the stretching. Doesn't seem like they're stretching for content. It's also just interesting considering the fact that, this was a novel at first. And I know there was more books afterwards, but my understanding is that only the first season is based off the first book, and the rest of the seasons are different. And I did read, the plot summary of the first book, so I know it's pretty different, too. Like, LaGuerta dies at the end and stuff. Oh, and I hope that didn't spoil anything for anybody. But yeah, so that also shows, it's really cool how they're managing to make such an organic, storyline out of this, when it's something that wasn't even part of the source material. So that's how you know that the show writers, they know what they're doing. They didn't just, it wasn't as easy as just kind of, referencing something that had already been done in the book. So yeah.
Only time will tell. Funny thing is, I've met someone who doesn't care what I am, knowing.
I hope there's no security that's looking at him right now. That wouldn't be a good look.
A life with no more secrets.
I don't know, it feels too like he's trying to move on from things in some type of way. Somebody has to be about to see him. Or a camera. Or something. Yep. Uh-oh. Well, I thought this episode was awesome. I almost want to say it was my favorite episode of the season so far, but this season's been so good. I don't even know if I can say that, but I definitely know that I really loved this episode. I thought that it was, just so well written. Like, the way that they portrayed some of the things that happened, like Dexter being in the room with Harry and his mother when they were talking, that was just such an awesome visual. Like, Dexter coming back as the Dark Defender. Like, everything about this episode just felt like it was pretty, masterfully done in a way. So I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really cool how they brought in such a big revelation in this episode, just in the fact that Harry and Dexter's mom knew each other before all this and had something going on. And, just also the whole backstory of, why Dexter's mom was getting killed, like what led to that, who did it, all that type of stuff. A lot of stuff that you're almost like, wow, like how did that not get brought up in the first season? Like that felt like such a complete story. And then you realize there's all these things that they didn't even explore then yet. And it, like I said, it doesn't feel like they were just reaching or stretching for things to continue a story. It's like now this is a very logical next thing to think about here and to focus on. And so I just feel like it's such a great thing to introduce, a great direction to take, and it's very interesting. And it's really cool how, even though this season isn't based off a book like how the first season was, now they're finding such still interesting ways to go. So that it wasn't like they just got lucky with the first season because there was the book and everything, and they were kind of able to somewhat base it around that. It's like this is now where they're not basing it off the books anymore at all, and so they still took something in the first that we heard a lot about in the first season and managed to find a whole new little aspect of it to focus on that we hadn't really thought about before and that we didn't know about before. And so I think that's just really amazing. Like I really feel like this is so interesting. There were some moments this episode where I'm just like, wow, this is such a good show, and Dexter is such a good character. Like when they were riding in the car and he was saying what he would say to that guy, and like, I mean, just the emotions that Dexter is able to convey while having such a twisted sense of emotion just makes him such an interesting and compelling character. And I feel like this episode just did a great job of showcasing that. I mean, they really always do such a great job of showcasing that. It's kind of ridiculous how good this show is sometimes to me. But yeah, I mean, this episode especially, it felt like, Dexter was so well portrayed. So kudos to Michael C. Hall. Lila as a character, I still, I hate the fact that Dexter's kind of, it feels like he's cheating on Rita in some ways. But, Lila as a character also is really growing on me. And I mean, she did actually try to stop him from using again, like, when it seemed like he was about to. So at the end of the day, she has good intentions in that regard. Still don't really know why she was like getting naked in front of him and everything, knowing that he has a girlfriend. But that's besides the point, I guess, for right now. But yeah, so Lila had some cool moments this episode. Then the whole thing between Deb and Detective Lundy or Agent Lundy, that's a really interesting relationship there, dynamic that they have there. Like I just love how he's such a a good influence on her and has helped her through what she's going through in so many ways. It was kind of unexpected. Like I didn't see this coming when they introduced him, that this would kind of be one of the biggest things that he's doing. I kind of thought maybe he'd just be Dexter's biggest nemesis in a way, without even knowing it. But no, like what he's really been here for has been to be such a critical, helpful figure for Deb. And that might lead to something interesting because, Deb is starting to see him almost as a father figure, a new father figure, because she said, you want to apply for that job or something like that. And, Dexter probably sees him as an arch nemesis in a way to his dark defender. So that's also very interesting because, they're brother and sister, but they have a very different view of this guy. But yeah, and so I feel like Deb, everything she's doing is a very logical thing that her character would do, it seems like, given what she's gone through. And I love the way that they're portraying it, like her like just jumping to these conclusions about the Ice Princess and looking through his drawer and everything. So I just feel like they're doing such a good job of like giving these characters realness. They're just making them real. They're making them act like real people. They're not just they don't just have something happen to them and then they just go and say, oh, I'm sad because this and this and that, and this is why I'm so messed up because this happened. Like, no, you're actually seeing it with their actions and with everything that they're going through and everything that they do. So I just feel like they're doing a really good job with that. Dokes and it's really starting to look like there's more to Dokes than we thought. Like I mentioned in the last episode how interesting it was that he's always been on to Dexter in a way, and it makes you wonder what Dokes is hiding and what what's going on inside of Dokes' mind. And then you think about, okay, yeah, he has killed 2 people in these last 6 months. He did kill people when he was in special ops or whatnot, and he consistently seemingly deflects LaGuerta when she tries to get him to go to therapy or think about it or whatever. And so it definitely seems like, I mean, maybe he really is okay, but then you also question, why is he okay? But I mean, it definitely seems like he's kind of lying and isn't okay, and is, just really trying to put up this front and lying to himself, not just lying to LaGuerta, but even lying to himself. So you wonder, like, what is Doak's relationship with killing and with violence or with things like that? Like, did something happen to him, when he was younger? Like, I feel like we're going to get into Doak's backstory a lot more as this series progresses. Also, both Dexter and Rita might be about to have some parent issues. Dexter is retroactively mad at his father, or at least I think he's mad. I mean, like, it seemed like he would be mad, like, because, he found out he lied to him about a lot of this. And, Rita's going through the thing with her mother and everything, who kind of just feels like is out of line, but, what you gonna do? What they need to do is kick her out. That's what they need to do, I guess. But, I think it's ridiculous that she's trying to just act like she can just waltz into Rita's life and make all these changes after she walked out. But I don't know. I mean, like, that's just going to be a whole nother thing and another obstacle for Dexter to overcome, too, I guess, and for Rita to overcome and for their relationship to overcome. But it's starting to feel like Dexter might be, I don't know, towards the end of the episode there, it was like, okay, is Dexter starting to want out of this? Because is he starting to like Lila more, or is he starting to think about how he's a danger to Rita? I mean, yeah, I can kind of see how Dexter is a danger to Rita and the kids. I'm not going to lie. I mean, he's a serial killer and whatnot. But it feels like so far we haven't seen any indication that he'd actually do anything to them, but maybe he'd get them roped into something. I could definitely see something happening, where Dexter actually ends up, causing something bad to happen to one of them. But, at the same time, I'm still rooting for them. I don't want them to have to separate or whatnot or break up. I mean, not like they're married, but yeah. And I feel like at this point, Rita, if Dexter breaks up with her, she's just going to be thinking it's because of her mom. And so now things might be even more muddy because she won't even really understand if Dexter did legitimately try to break up with her. She'd be like, no, you're just letting my mom get in the way or something. I don't know. It just feels like a lot is going on and it's complicating things even more. But, I like it. And obviously that ending has me excited for whatever is next to come. The security camera saw him cleaning off his boat. That's not a good look. So hopefully Dexter can somehow get to that footage before the wrong person does. I guess we'll see where that's going. Or I'll see. You probably already know, those of you watching this. But I will see, and I can't wait to see. I guess that's everything I got to say for this episode. I mean, I could probably say a lot more, but I don't know. I don't want to ramble on forever. I feel like this episode was amazing. I really enjoyed it. I really like this show. I think it's an awesome product, work of art of television. I don't even know what I'm trying to say at this point. Yeah, leave a comment. Let me know what you thought about this episode. Like the video if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to see more. The full reactions are on Patreon. That's it. See you later.